The Middle Ages are a historical period that spanned from around 500 AD to 1500. It succeeded the Antiquity, whose end is commonly considered to be the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476. Popular culture sees the Middle Ages as a period of ecclesiastical censorship, constant fighting between kingdoms, and it is also seen as a period of lacking process in science and society. However, it is necessary to deconstruct these stereotypes, which is why we need to ask ourselves how dark the Middle Ages actually were. Before we begin to take a look at the accomplishments of the Middle Ages, we need to find out where the unfavorable reputation of the Middle Ages comes from. During the Renaissance, the humanists saw the time that preceded them as a time of decay and lacking process, while praising antiquity at the same time. A famous humanist who did this was Francesco Petrarca, who saw his own time, the Renaissance, as a time of reusing ancient accomplishments. Therefore, the period between the two was seen as a time of decay. Even out of a Protestant perspective, the Middle Ages were seen as a time of darkness, while the time preceding it was considered to be a time of light. Therefore, the bad reputation of the Middle Ages is old, and popular culture takes it for an actual representation of the Middle Ages. However, the Middle Ages, a period of around 1000 years, did see advances. Let's take a look at medieval inventions. The Middle Ages saw many great inventions, for instance the glasses from the 13th century, the mechanical clock, and the letterpress by Johannes Gutenberg. Nevertheless, the last invention is often seen as the end of the Middle Ages, in which, however, does not narrow the other inventions down. When we take a look at philosophy and science, we encounter many great minds throughout the Middle Ages, like Thomas Aquinas, Albert the Great, and Averroes. On one hand, medieval philosophy pursued the rediscovery of ancient authors. On the other hand, it also heavily discussed theological questions. A great historian as well as ecclesial scholar was Bede Venerabilis from the English kingdom of Northumbria, who wrote a church history of the English people and was also declared Doctor of the Church in 1899. Let's take a final look at medieval cities. Popular culture describes medieval cities as dark and polluted places with legal oppression and dangerous streets. This picture of medieval cities is highly questionable for two reasons. The first one being that even Rome had dangerous streets and suffered from overpopulation, especially during its last years. On the other hand, we need to acknowledge the change cities were going through during the Middle Ages. The ravaging armies that marched through Europe during the period of people's migration made it necessary that cities strengthened their fortifications, and they also became smaller. We also see that ancient buildings and structures built by the Romans were either forgotten or used in a very different manner, mainly because of Christianity. I hope you liked the video and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.